Meeting to order. Madam Clerk, will you take roll, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Hinchey.
Present.
Mr. Luther.
Present.
Ms. Nelson.
Present.
Ms. Reclue.
Present.
Thank you. Ms. Seebacher.
Here.
Mr. Stone.
Here.
Thank you. Mr. Washington. Here. Thank you. 8 members, oh, Mr. Combs.
Present.
8 members, council members present.
Is it? Okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Pastor Williamson, are you ready for our invocation this evening?
Our Father in heaven, we give you thanks for this blessed day and for the privilege, Lord, that we have to gather in this chamber as our community continues to work together, grow together, and serve together. I'm thankful, Lord, for the larger community that's here tonight, Lord, to share in this session, and I'm always grateful for the community. They make us stronger and better when they come together and share their thoughts and their goals. I want to lift up, Lord, our mayor who continues to recover, and I want to pray for Mrs. Reclue and for anyone else in our city family who needs your touch and your blessings and your healing. I'm grateful, Lord, for our council persons, our administrators, and all those, Lord, who work tirelessly on the streets of our city every day to keep us together, safe, and moving forward as your people. During this next 5 or 6 days, I want to cover the needs of this community and Mid-America. This heat's going to be intense, and those that are on the streets, those that are working in unprotected areas, and especially I remember our police officers and firefighters and EMTs and all our first responders who may be in this heat, and it's very difficult in response. So protect all of our city employees who will be facing these elements from now through at least midweek next week. I ask your blessings on this session tonight, on our community, our state, and our nation, and those who serve and protect and defend our flag and our Constitution at all levels. Lead this and let your wisdom, Lord, guide the thoughts and meditations of every heart in this chamber. We pray this together through Christ our Lord. Amen. Face the flag. Attention, salute, and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Okay, moving right along. I do want to address just a couple of housekeeping issues really quickly, if I may. Reminder to our council persons, I've been requested to remind you to bring your mics a little closer if you can and try to speak more directly into them so that folks can hear you a little bit better. And moving on to our comments from visitors, I noticed there's a lot of folks here, and I'm so thankful to have you all here and to see you all here. But I do want to remind you to make sure you sign in out in the foyer so that we have your information on file. And I'm assuming a lot of you are here to talk about the zoning issue on the ballot. So just as a reminder, come up and approach the mic, state your name, your address, and you will be given 3 minutes to speak. And the council is not going to be able to have any interaction with you, okay? So you're just here to give us your comments, and we're here to listen. So that being said, any comments? Come on up.
Good evening to the Deputy Mayor, City Council, and City staff. Thanks for hearing our concerns about the rezoning of 1801 Business 54. As a homeowner, I am concerned, John Braun, 1004 Herring Drive. I am concerned for the property value in Herring subdivision as well as the city of Fulton. Appraisers' boundaries, remember that. Where is the money coming from to improve the following services in the budget? Water, sewer, and electric. Where in the budget's that coming from? What is the state going to require as an entrance onto Business 54 in this state-owned highway? I have been told it will require a Type 5 entrance. A type 5 entrance is a quarter mile each way with a turn lane and center islands. The traffic increase on Rice Road is already in bad shape. Rice Road's in terrible shape, which would cost the city more money. If you allow the zoning to be changed to R3, anything residential can be built on this property. We've seen changes happen right out on the other end of town in the last week. We have seen the application, which states duplexes, and heard, well, maybe triplexes, maybe single-family homes. The developer can change it to anything they want once you allow the rezoning without coming back to the city for approval. How can we move forward with this plan to rezone when we don't have a master plan in place for anything like this? I truly believe Fulton needs more single-family homes. However, I do not believe this project is right for the city of Fulton. The population density in this area is much too high. Herring has 86 homes already, and you put another anywhere from 68 to 204 residents in that area. That is extremely high. Has anyone spoken to the schools to see what impact increased rentals will be on the district? Students moving in and out of the classrooms, impact MAP scores, and school district funding. In closing, I would like to ask you to vote no on this project, as I do not see a lot of upsides to the rezoning. Please help me understand what is affordable housing in the current market. Affordable rentals, affordable first-time home buyers, affordable senior housing. This is why we need a plan and not rely on the attention-grabbing broad label like affordable housing.
I'm sorry, sir. That's it.
That's
Thank
fine.
you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Braun. Anyone else wish to come up and make a comment?
Yes, I'm J.W. Van. I live at 1306 Park Ridge, and I own the property that adjoins this 1801 Business 54 South. And I spoke at the last council meeting, and then I sat and listened, and there were a couple things that kind of caught my attention that I wanted to speak to you about. First of all, it was brought up that this was first discussed as duplexes and is being asked to be rezoned to R3. Well, that would only require R2, the way I understand the zoning. So if we're truly talking about doing something productive for the community, R1 or R2 might be very understandable in that area for the neighborhood. But R3 opens the door for anything, as he just mentioned, and I'd like to reiterate the concern I have there. I mean, we're already talking about a new style of concrete homes. If any of you have basements, you know how well concrete survives in Callaway County anyway. But concrete buildings don't sound to me like we're going to be building a stylish neighborhood that is going to be duplexes and single-family homes only. Sounds to me like we're opening the door up for apartment complexes, or when I was in college, concrete buildings for fraternity houses would have been perfect. But, you know, it opens the door for a lot of things that I think really need to be well thought out. I want to totally reiterate the traffic and Rice Road. That is definitely a disaster that is the city's responsibility as far as I know. And also the schools, has it really been discussed with the school district what adding more students to Bartley would do at that end of town? I mean, I have no idea, but I think those are really some things that need to be considered. Property values, yes, property values affect all of us, and the whole neighborhood can benefit or suffer depending on decisions that are made, as you well know. So I definitely support a vote of no, and I hope you'll think this through very carefully before you make that decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Van. Anyone else?
My name's Daniel Christensen. I live at 12011 State Road BB in Tebbets, Missouri. And I hear all of your concerns, and I see the roads, and I understand Rice Road it needs some work. It definitely does. It's very narrow. And those are our goals here. My goals right now were not to give you a neighborhood that you didn't like, that I had to pay more people to design. My goal right here is to work with the city and rezone this property to give us rentals for Fulton. If that's duplexes and that's what fits Fulton well, that's what we're willing to work with. I print a triplex because it's more cost effective. I get another rental out of that piece of property. So I don't have to print a triplex. My triplex is really just a different roof style with an apartment upstairs on top of my duplex. So I understand also about how much these homes are going to be worth and what's it going to do to your property values. That is a very important question to any homeowner and anybody building next to them. So our buildings are being appraised right now all over the United States by different people that are building these. And we actually have stucco exteriors, stone, stamped exteriors, stained exteriors, which are on the tier above what most people build out of rentals. I don't put vinyl siding on there. I don't put 3-inch thick walls. I have 9-inch thick walls with structural spray foam in them that give you our values way past any homes that are built today. The concrete I pour with is far past any concrete that you see anywhere around you, including the buildings that are built for our schools and our militaries and our cities. I pour with a 6,000 PSI mortar that's built by Quikrete and engineered for 3D printing houses. So it's a very durable product, and it's been engineered by very smart people. And I'm going to make our buildings look very beautiful that will make our property values better. And when people pull in here, they're going to see a building that renters normally don't get. And that's our goal. Our renters deserve better here. I believe that, and they deserve better everywhere. They don't deserve to be stuck in little bitty, low-income housing buildings. That's not what I'm going for at all. I want an upscale, higher-grade building for people that want to rent, because there are people like you, and there are people like you, and none of us want to live in vinyl-sided buildings that fall down, burn down, rot, all of those things. So we're stepping it up here, and we're going to give our tenants and our renters here in Fulton and Holt Summit and Columbia, wherever we can start putting these neighborhoods, giving people better buildings to live in that make our property values go up. And if
Thanks,
we
Dan.
want
I'm sorry to
stone
interrupt.
buildings, that's what.
Sir, I'm sorry, your time is
So,
up. Thank
but
you.
Thank you. And any other questions, feel free to stop me and ask me, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, and I do just want to remind you that this is the only opportunity that you will have to speak on this subject. This is not, we don't have a public hearing on the agenda tonight for this item, so if you do wish to come forward, this is your opportunity to do so, and we welcome you to do so.
I just have a quick comment. My name is Richard Vaughn, live 1416 Kingswood Avenue. I sent a letter into the city, and I'm sure each one of you got a copy of it. I will add that the traffic out there, if we go with triplexes, you're looking at 350 to 400 cars. Most families have 2 cars. Saturday, within an hour, there was a wreck right at Tennyson Road and one at Rice Road on Saturday. That's just a typical day without all the added traffic. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. All right, folks, one more opportunity. Anyone else? I don't want you to feel that you can't, but if there's no one else, we're going to go ahead and move forward on the agenda. Okay. Seeing no one come forward, so we're going to go ahead and move forward to the next item. So So next on our agenda, we have the approval of the consent agenda. This is an opportunity where council members may choose to remove an item for discussion prior to approving the consent agenda. On tonight's agenda, we have the approval of city council meeting minutes from June 27th, July 7th, and July 11th, all of 2023.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
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 Opposed, no. And that motion has passed. Thank you. Next, next on our agenda, we have the presentation and acceptance of the June DOA report. And I believe Ms. Krausen, Ms. Doyle, is going to be giving that to us this evening. Mrs. Doyle. Go ahead.
Here we are. Well, I would just go over, you guys have had this report and had an opportunity to take a look. If there are questions or specific pages that we need to reference, please let me know. As you know, we go through and provide you a brief overview of the happenings from the previous month. So if there are questions, please let us know.
I would like to make a motion to approve the DOA report.
Second.
Thank you both. We have a motion and a second to approve the June DOA report. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
And opposed, no. That motion has passed. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the presentation and acceptance of the June financial statement. And I believe this is going to be your first one, isn't that right? When you come up, and forgive me if you've done this before, but would you please introduce yourself to our council?
Dustin Doherty, City of Fulton CFO. So Fulton recorded 5 months of sales tax through June 30, 2023. Sales tax collections are in line with prior year's collections. Use tax is up 6.5% from fiscal year 2022. June had 3 payrolls, so the expenses will be proportionally higher. The operating statement notes cover most of the highlights for the month. Did you have any questions? No? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to unfinished business this evening. We have,
Madam Staybacker, if we could we take a vote on that?
oh, absolutely.
Move to accept the financial report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
And those opposed, no. Yes. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for reminding me. I apologize for missing that.
It's all right.
Okay, now moving on to our unfinished business. So tonight we have one item. This is going to be, speaking of Mary, consideration by the council to amend Councilwoman Recluse' excused absence for an additional 3 months for continuing health-related reasons through November 1st of 2023.
I would like to make a motion to make that amendment as so stated.
I'd like to second with an added item that this will, the 3-month extension with compensation.
Councilman
I
Hitching.
agree with that.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Motion to approve this excused absence extension with the additional verbiage of adding that compensation in there. Is there any discussion on that?
Mary, are you going to try to zoom in, continue to zoom in?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Just a question. How many months have we extended this? Is this the 4th month?
I believe this is the first extension, so what, the initial was 3 months, and then this first extension is an additional 3 months, so.
The only concern that I have is that, thank you, I was trying to, it was humming on me. The only concern, I'm willing to do it, it's just we set precedents, and that if something else happens to one of us, are we going to be extended that same kind of, all right, I'm just saying that once you start, before in the past, I don't think they have done that. But we have started something new. I didn't know if that was something that we voted on or.
So I will say that this mechanism is outlined in our city code or charter, and I apologize, maybe our city clerk can clarify that for us. So this process is outlined, and it would be something that would absolutely be extended to any member of the city council. It is also something that has been done in the past for other council members.
And just to add about my comment about making sure that we include the compensation in there, Councilwoman Reclus continues to do many of her council duties. She's speaking to citizens, she's working with constituents and all of that. There's just some times where if she is unable to attend and be seen and see and hear, then we have to show an excusal of her absence because of the other side of our code that says if you have too many absences that are not excused, then it threatens your council seat.
Yeah, that's a great point, Councilman Stone, and I agree that Councilwoman Reclus has been continuing to work. I know that she and I have spoken on several occasions. She's been into City Hall. She's always available for her constituents, so thank you for adding that for us.
I also really appreciate the fact that she's willing to Zoom in whenever she can.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah, I'm not any good at that, so she does much better than I do. Is there any other discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor of that motion, say yes.
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 And those opposed, no. That motion has passed. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, if I could, can I just get a clarification that Mary did abstain from that vote and recuse herself?
Mary, did you hear that? Were you able to abstain from that vote and recuse yourself?
Yes, I abstained from that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are you hearing us okay? Not hearing us okay?
Yes, I'm.
Okay. Remember to speak right into your mics, folks. Okay, next we have new business, and I don't believe we have any this evening, so we're going to move right on to council concerns. This is an opportunity for council persons to express concerns that they have, that they want to inform other council persons about, as well as provide a brief review on their interactions with any boards that they serve on as a liaison. So we'll start with Councilman Henchy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have no concerns.
Thank you. I would be next. I don't have any concerns, but I did want to give an update on Mayor Myers. I spoke with him just a little while ago. He's continuing to improve. He says that his therapist says that he's way ahead of where he should be at this point in recovery. And I hope that's true and not just wishful thinking. And I know you're listening, Steve. But we're anxious to get you back. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve in your place. It's been an honor, sir. Councilwoman Reclus, do you have any concerns or anything to share?
Yes, I was concerned about the, I believe it's Truman Lake, that when we had trouble with the concrete going into the lake.
Yes, I believe she's speaking about the ADA dock, so please.
Yes.
Yes.
Have we done anything about that?
No, but it is on our list to get replaced this summer. So we have a plan, we're gonna tear it out, probably replace it with new concrete.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that all you have for us, Mary?
Yes, that's all this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Stone?
Yes. One, Historic Preservation Commission met last week, and at that meeting, we did have our elections. And like many good committees, when you join, you immediately get voted in to have a job. Crystal Arble was elected as our president. She's been with the commission for about a year now. So she graciously and enthusiastically accepted that appointment as the president of the commission. And then we reelected Steve Moore as our vice president. And I invite any and all citizens to come and join us. The Historic Preservation Commission meets every other month, the third Wednesday of what would be the even months at 1 o'clock here in the council chambers. And then council concern, through all of the various conversations that we've had with our rezoning and with many of the things that's been brought up as concerns that we're going to continue to discuss tonight, I would like for us to have a conversation with MoDOT about the speed limits of Business 54 in that area. It changes from, I think it's near Casey's, it's 30, and then when it hits Tennyson Road, it's 35. It hits Park Ridge, it turns to 50. And many times there's not really much of a change in people's actual speeds as they're coming and going in and out of town. So no matter what our comprehensive plan is, our future plan is, or any decisions that we make tonight, I would like for us to propose to lower those speed limits. Even though it's been a few years since the roundabout was installed, the roundabout has still had a lasting traffic flow impact on the south end of town. It really is amazing how much traffic just flows nonstop to the south end of town when we lost that four-way stop even at 2nd Street. So that's my council concern.
Thank you very much, Councilman Stone. Moving on, Councilman Luther, do you have anything for us this evening?
Yes, thank you, Valerie. No, there's been no Airport Advisory Board meeting since our last council meeting. One concern was brought to me by a constituent. One concern brought to me, which I never really thought about, is so I think it's approximately 8 o'clock or 2000. These lights out front swap to flashing. Was it the north-south direction, or yellow flashing, east and west, or red flashing? I guess what people are assuming, if you're pulling up from the east and west direction, it's red flashing, that it's a four-way stop, you stop and you go. Well, if you're not paying attention to the yellow lights, you can pull into front of someone that's not stopping because it's yellow for their direction. Apparently, there's been a couple near misses that some constituents have told me about. So I'm not sure if that fix would just be signage, because I do enjoy it myself if I'm going north and south. I don't have to stop. But definitely mitigating any kind of risk there for accidents is definitely a priority for safety. So something that maybe we can take back and look at of how that should be properly handled and still be able to keep that yellow for north and south for traffic flow. So that's all I got.
Our city engineer isn't with us tonight, but we can certainly look into some signage and see if it makes sense to go, red all the way around. I know we don't want to impact you, but we can definitely look at that a little bit more closely.
But ultimately, to your comment, I mean, safety is the number one priority, so whatever that looks like, so.
And that's what happens when you bring concerns to the council. Moving along, Councilman Combs, do you have anything for us this evening?
Yes, Deputy Mayor, the Planning and Zoning Board has not met since our last meeting. They will meet Thursday at 5:30, just to, I guess, have a conversation and a regular scheduled meeting. No rezonings currently planned for that meeting. And outside that, again, no real concerns, just appreciation I wanted to express appreciation for the continued feedback from our citizens and people that reach out, because I know this is one particular issue, but personally I like to hear it on as many issues as possible, just to hear other people's thoughts, because we always learn something.
Absolutely, that's a great point. And as a reminder, to add to that, Councilman Combs, these meetings that we hold, they're not just for us. You are invited, you are welcome to speak, and we love to see you come and be a part of this process and be a part of how your city government works. So please keep that in mind always. And I think, Madam Clerk, you post the schedule each month at the beginning of the month for what meetings are going to be held, and then make amendments as necessary?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Councilman Washington, do you have anything for us this evening?
We haven't, I'm looking forward to attending my Parks and Rec meeting coming up pretty soon, so I can bring back any information to the council. Other than that, no other concerns.
Thank you very much. And Councilwoman Nelson?
Yes, Madam Deputy Mayor. I wanted to say thank you to Kyle. I know last time at the last council meeting, Kyle and I'm sure many others, Daryl, Courtney, I know that I saw an email come through. I was concerned about a pole that was in the road instead of on the sidewalk. And it does sound like that not only that one was a concern, but maybe there were 2 others additionally. And we are looking at getting those moved. We're working with the proper channels. I think Charter was one of the people that we had to work with. So I really, really appreciate that. It sounds like it's been a problem for a while, so I'm glad that we're doing something about that. So I do thank them, all the people that are working on that in getting that taken care of. We did have a utility board meeting yesterday. As everybody can see on the south side of town, the water tower project is underway. I don't believe that there's been any additional change orders. Everything is the same as it was presented at the last council meeting, so that's great. There was also a recommendation made by the utility board, and I'm going to read it directly off the minutes here so I don't booger anything up. There was a recommendation that the city council set scheduled reports of a defined strategic capital plan, including rate structure and reserve policies, with collaboration in education involving the city council and the utility board. And that was passed by all the members that were present. And what Daryl is doing is we are trying to form a plan so we know how to present to the community our goals, what we're looking for our reserves, and how to best accomplish that based off of our assets, and where that really needs to be and what that needs to look like. And what that also is going to allow us to do is it's going to be able to tell our citizens and the public, this is what you can expect and what's coming, this is how you can budget, and try to form some sort of a plan that's in black and white, that you know what it looks like and what's coming ahead of us. And to really work on that plan. And it's going to be nice too that the utility board wants to work with the council and wants to work with the public in forming that plan so everybody is on the same page. So I look forward to that. And then there is a Sykeston update, and Daryl, I'm going to let you give that update.
Daryl Dunlap Utilities. We do have Sykeston's contract expired for a substation and a balancing authority, so they had to go outside and they're having to join SPP. So it is an increased cost to us. Transmission cost for the remainder of the year will be about $278,000. We also have a true-up every year by our contract. It's a cost-plus contract with Sykeston. And every year there's a true-up comes in the fall. Sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative. But with the coal shipment problems last year and the boiler work they had to do, our true-up's going to be $453,000, ours to them. It's not coming our way. We are working with some other cities to try to swap some Sykeston out, starting in December, to get out some of those transmission costs. There's a group of cities that are in that market area. So we would try to do a contract with them. They have been approached already. They are willing to do it. So we'll be working on a contract on that swap and try to have that in place by December. And that way we can get out of that, and we will buy back in MISO's footprint, and we'll sell in Sykeston or SPP's footprint. So that's what we're trying to do. There is a substation being built down there to get us out of most of these charges, and the dirt work has started on that project. Ameren is who's constructing the project, and as we understand, all major equipment is on site or at the vendors waiting to be delivered. So that's where we're at.
Thank you. And that's all I had.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Daryl. Okay, we're going to move on to our next item now, resolutions. We have our first, I believe our only resolution on the agenda this evening, Resolution 3503. Councilman Hinchey, would you present that resolution to the council, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Resolution 3503, ASCAP Music License. A resolution authorizing the mayor, on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri, to sign all necessary documents in relation to a licensing agreement with the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers, ASCAP, of Nashville, Tennessee, for a local government license and establishing an effective date. I would like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 3503 at this council meeting.
Second.
Thank you both. I have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 3503. Is there any discussion on this item? And Courtney, would you maybe give us a little information about what this is exactly covering, please?
Yes, no problem. So this is in regards to being able to play licensed music at city facilities as part of city parades, this sort of activity. Really, the reason this is coming before the city council is a contract's required. So we wanted to get your authorization to have that contract signed by the mayor. As you can see, the fee per year is nominal, and it'll be something that we incorporate into the Parks and Recreation budget moving ahead. But again, because there was a contract involved with it, the appropriate channel is to bring it to you guys. I will say, moving ahead, next time we approach this, we may be asking you to give the mayor authorization for a couple years or something like that. So we're going to look and see how this goes with this specific company. We had Tom Riley, our city councilor, take a look, and ASCAP is the most broad provider for licensing, and we felt this was the best approach.
And I think one of the things that we had talked about was it's not just for things like our summer concert series, but it's also to play music, to play the radio, really on any city property in order to be in line with what their contract requires. So thank you for bringing that to us. Does the council have any further discussion on this item? With our motion and a second, seeing no other discussion, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
And those opposed say no. That motion for that resolution has passed. Thank you, Mary. All right, next up we have our ordinances. I believe we have a first read ordinance and a third read ordinance this evening. We're going to go ahead with that first read ordinance. That's going to be presented by Councilman Luther. It's bill number 1685, if you don't mind.
Yes, Madam Deputy Mayor. Bill number 1685, rezoning 1801 Business 54 South from R1 to R3 Residential. An ordinance reclassifying under the zoning code a tract of land located at 1801 Business 54 containing 18 acres running west from Business 54 south to Rice Road in Fulton, Missouri, and establishing an effective date. So I'm open for discussion on this topic, as I'm not making a motion at this time.
Do we have anyone that wishes to make a motion? Anyone that wishes to have discussion?
I would say the proper channel, in order to have discussion, we would need a motion on the floor. So simply because you make a motion does not necessarily constitute something for or against. But in order to just be proper in procedure, we do need to have a motion on the floor for discussion.
Make a motion so that we can go into discussion on bill number 1685.
I second it.
Madam Clerk, did you get that?
I did.
Okay, thank you. So we do have a motion and a second, so this item is open for discussion.
Before we head into the particulars, I did want to give a little bit of an update. Councilman Combs, you had expressed a concern last time about the validity of our zoning ordinances, and thank you for bringing that up. We did have City Councilor Tom Riley take a look at state statute, our city code and charter, and I just wanted to clarify that those zoning amendments are not invalid, nor are these that are under proposal now. We do have an existing plan, although I think we can all argue that it needs to be updated and some work needs to go into that. So I just wanted to provide that brief update, not only for the city council, but for those of you watching and those of you with us tonight. City council, you received a copy of his full legal opinion, so if you have any questions, please get with me or with Kathy, and we'd be happy to help.
Thank you for that clarification. I do think it's important that we have all that information out, considering this zoning issue does seem to be a pretty popular one. So thank you. And thank you to our city councilor, Tom Riley. I know he's put in a lot of work for us on this item, so thank you if you're watching. Do we have any other discussion?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I find that this rezoning is quite drastic to go from R1 to R3 in the middle of an R1 environment. When we were talking to our previous meeting, they brought up diversified but focused approach, and diversification is very important. But part of being a focused approach is make sure that we put the right thing in the right place, use the right tool for the right job. And putting R3 into an R1 environment, I think, is extremely drastic. Go ahead.
Councilwoman Reclus, did you have something to add? Okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
See, I will kind of piggyback off what he was saying a little bit. One of the fun parts about planning and zoning is that it's future-oriented. So just because you zone an area R3, you could technically rezone everything out there R3 and say in the future we want all of that to be residential 3, and regardless of what the houses that are currently there, like at some point they could be taken down, put new ones. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing to do. We've really struggled with getting MoDOT to put in, the sidewalks that are currently being put in that widen that road. Typically what you'll find in a lot of R3 scenarios or multifamily scenarios is people go in that may not want to use cars as often. They talk about cars, but they want to walk places. We don't have sidewalks out there. We don't have the infrastructure planned for out there. We could plan for out there, but one of our limiting ways of preventing growth currently could be, say, no, but maybe later if we decide in our plan that we want that part of town to grow that way, we want the city of Fulton to continue to grow south. That is an option, but I think if we head that path now, we're going to end up with a lot more strain on the city and probably strain on the people living in those areas not being able to access the rest of Fulton because, there's nothing wrong with not owning a car, but there's not sidewalks. There's not sidewalks on a lot of our streets. And people that like to walk, it just creates an unsafe environment.
I would like to add one more thing, too. I'm very much in favor of putting more houses out there, more affordable houses to help our city and the people in our city. But I think we need to make sure that we need to do it in the right places. I'm very appreciative of the developer. I think he's got a good focus. But I think for that area, it is an R3 would not be a good choice.
I'd like to piggyback off of Councilman Hinchy. I appreciate that, exactly what you're saying. I know that we need affordable housing. Our community struggles with that. We need homes that not only people can purchase, but also people can rent. But I am concerned infrastructurally, and what we put out there, I think it has to be very strategic. And because we don't have a plan and we haven't seen any of the drawings, I think it's really hard to make that decision. I think that duplexes and single-family homes would be great, and I'm super excited about this, the new building that you're doing, the technique. I want to learn more about that, and I'm really excited to know more and learn more on the 3D built homes. And I do know that our community needs homes. We need homes. And I think that there's a lot of property too in Fulton that would be great for apartments and triplexes, but I do think that in this area of town, that single-family homes and duplexes would probably be a better option.
And with listening to a lot of the comments we've heard, just to really add to your message, Lauren, is, what's this project look like? It sounds like, the way you described it, I've remodeled homes and done my fair share of construction as well, but it sounds beautiful. But I'm not sure people are seeing that. I think to answer some of the questions and maybe help ease some of the concerns would be, I'm not sure they're the right environment, but maybe like hosting a session within maybe council of here's our projected project, here's how the homes would look, here's the sizes, here's the singles, here's the duplexes, because it is a new construction technique, and I've seen it and watched it on good old internet, right? And it looks amazing and it's awesome, very insulated. It's an incredible new technique of building houses, but definitely we've heard a lot of questions and concerns because we don't know we haven't seen that before. So I think there's some opportunity there to really show what this can look like and what it can do for a family and save on utilities and overall cost. And kind of agree with Lauren that R1, I think R2 would definitely be something to entertain. R3 in that setting is, infrastructure-wise, is I think a little excessive. So.
I wanted to comment on the word affordable. Affordable housing has been thrown out a few times this evening. It's been thrown out before. And I have a concern with that. I'm a person that really, I focus on words. I focus on how somebody uses a word and what they mean behind it. I've been on the Safe and Affordable Housing Task Force for the past 4 or 5 years. And affordable housing does not mean low income. It means affordable housing. The plan, we've got Willow Creek. Those 2 and 3 bedroom duplexes are renting for $1,000 a month in Fulton, Missouri. For folks making, annual income of $30,000 to $40,000 for a total family. That's not affordable. And the only way that we're going to make rent affordable in Fulton is to add more housing, is to add more rentals. We need more single-family homes. We need that whole continuum. We need the rentals, we need the single-family houses, we need the rooftops, and it's the only way the prices are going to come down. They're not going to come down a whole heck of a lot because of the cost of construction right now, but it's the only way that we're going to actually put a cap on it. And so I just want to make sure that when we're talking about affordable housing, many people will take that to mean low income. And there's a huge stigma around low-income housing. Well, a $1,200 a month duplex in Fulton, Missouri is not low income. And so that stigma needs to be removed from these projects. But we do need to find a way to have affordable housing. The comments that I've made when I've had conversations with folks is we see complaints, and I hear complaints all the time about, Diner 54 closes at 3 o'clock. I wish they were open for dinner still. Well, they can't get workers. We go somewhere and everybody complains about the service and the speed, and whether that's food or, HVAC service or any of that. We have a worker shortage in this town and in this county. And the only way to increase the workers is to give them a place to live. I do not believe that this piece of land needs to go all the way to R3 at this point, but we need to find a way to encourage development in our community. We have many pieces of land within city limits, outside city limits, whatever it is, we need development. And we need to make sure that our messaging to the developers that are willing to spend all of this money up front. This council has been through it with Willow Creek. The money that the person that's developing Willow Creek, the money they're having to put in for the roads and the curbs and the sidewalks and everything that they're doing in Willow Creek to make it a place people want to live and to follow our new ordinances. You know, we passed an ordinance one night that added $5,000 to the cost of every single unit that they're going to build at Willow Creek. But they're doing it, and that's what we need to encourage, and we need to recognize the balance that it takes. We need to do everything we can to encourage developers in Fulton and Callaway County to build houses, build rentals, build single-family houses, build anything and everything that people can afford to pay and buy so that we can keep doing what we're doing.
And with that, Councilman Stone, earlier tonight, we were having conversations just around that very topic on, building incentive packages to help not only businesses come here, but developers, being that good partner. So hopefully from even earlier tonight, we'll have action taken from here to start developing those packages to help even more encourage developers to come here for the single-family homes, the duplexes. I mean, ultimately, I think we all agree we need houses, we need homes. So please continue to work with the city, and we'll definitely try to be the best partner we can as far as support all the way through the project. Just I know again, unfortunately, this R3 in that area is I think overtaxing our current infrastructure and our community out there. But definitely, we need help. We need the homes. So please don't give up on the partnership with the city.
Just one follow-on is, I'm also not a fan of limiting what we're going to do because of the infrastructure we have in place at the moment. It's our job to meet the needs of this community. If we have a developer that wants to build homes and we have the need, then it's the city's responsibility to put in the sidewalks, put in the stormwater, put in the sewer, put in the additional electric. And yes, Mr. Braun, I don't know where we're going to pay for it, but we'll have more property taxes, we'll have more sales taxes, we'll have more payroll taxes, we'll have lots and lots of opportunity, but that's the way you invest in the community. Yes, it may cost us something now if we want to run a sidewalk all the way out to Arlen Kettle's place, and that's what we need to do for this community, then that's what we'll do for the community. And that's our job. It's not our job to say, I'm sorry, we can't do that right now. Maybe in another 5 or 10 years, we might have our act together and have sidewalks out there. No, it's our job to react to what people want to do.
You're welcome. I just want to sort of add to this that I am so thankful and so appreciative of all of your healthy discussion, all of your willingness to interact with our constituents, because to echo what Councilman Stone said, that's what we are here to do. So thank you to everyone once again for coming out, not only tonight, but 2 weeks ago as well, and to my fellow council persons. I think this has been a true experiment in our ability to communicate with each other, and I think we've done it very, very well. So you folks have chosen really good people to represent you. If there's no further discussion, we do have a motion and a second on the floor, so I will call for the question. All those in favor
Deputy
say
Mayor,
yes.
Before you do that, would you please clarify the motion?
Oh, absolutely. We have just a motion to approve advancing this to second read at the next council meeting, and it was seconded.
My apologies, I didn't use all those words
That's
earlier.
okay. I just wanted to make sure everybody understood.
So with that, all those in favor say yes. And those opposed say no.
No.
That motion has failed. Thank you. Next on our agenda, we have our third reading of Bill number 1683. This is another rezoning item, and Councilwoman Nelson, would you please?
Bill number 1683, rezoning Tennyson Road, 4.92 acre tract, A1 to C2, an ordinance reclassifying under the zoning code an unimproved 4.92 acre tract of land located on north side of Tennyson Road, just south of Willow Creek subdivision, Willow Creek South in Fulton, Missouri, and establishing an effective date. I make a motion for final passage at this council meeting for Bill number 1683.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for final passage on this bill. Is there any discussion? I know since this is our third reading, obviously we've had some discussion before, but anything additional that you would like to add at this point?
I think I'm the one that keeps dragging this one out. I'm still just not convinced that it's the right fit for that road, especially looking at the number of houses we've just recently approved to go in out there. Is that road going to be able to maintain the traffic not only for all of those houses going forward, but then when you rezone it to C2, do you also have the capacity to handle whatever roads will be needed for a commercial business to go in there? We don't get to regulate that, just like we didn't get to regulate what houses could have potentially gone in at the other discussion that we just had. Along with, that's pushing it deeper down Tennyson and deeper away from Business 54 than most of our other C2 areas. I mean, I can get where they kind of tie it into the Fulton Commons area, it all being kind of conjoined, but it won't connect to it. It's not one tract of land, it's not connecting to that whole zoning area of businesses. It would be its own thing, adding additional traffic and just pushing that farther down where houses could potentially go. So that's just kind of my thoughts. I don't know that I want to see, we don't have a plan for Tennyson Road, period. That's kind of where I came from last time, is the 83 plan doesn't even show Tennyson. The 93 plan kind of mentions it and says the south side of town has plenty of room for commercial and residential to kind of work together. But that's about all it gives. And so it's kind of up in the air of, hey, maybe we should plan for this. There is agriculture right on the other side. Do we need to start planning for what's going to go over there before we just continue to be reactive rather than proactive? And so that's where I'm at. I like to see us be proactive in saying this is the way we want the city to grow versus just being responsive to what somebody's asking.
I support Councilman Combs on that. Business 54 is Business 54, and that should be, at least until we exhaust that, that should be the commercial growth of our town. One thing I've noticed is when Kentucky Fried Chicken and Scooters came in, it didn't hurt the business of McDonald's. They complement each other. And the more businesses that we make it available for people will help our business in our town. And that's proven. That's proven by data that people have taken in the past.
I guess I'll give the other side of the conversation. The owner of the property is looking to develop this as commercial. It is continuation of commercial as it is now off of there at the corner of Tennyson. As Tennyson develops, as the rest of that subdivision finishes, as we look at our plan, we have the entire Southwind subdivision that's on the other end of Tennyson. This just gives an opportunity. There's not many spaces on Business 54. To be able to say, oh, we need to keep all the businesses on Business 54, there's really no place else to develop on Business 54. If we want additional services, if we want additional businesses, and granted, this can be anything. It could be another gas station, it could be another fast food, but it could also be a business that we talked about this evening at the chamber. What was it, 32 new businesses in the last year of homegrown, businesses for what people want to do. And it's that wedge of land is not going to be developed by this owner for housing. And so that wedge of land would be, I feel, is appropriate to be C2. And then let them see what they can develop. What services does that part of town need? And what services do we not currently have somewhere? So I support it being C2 because it's a less than 5 acre wedge of land that is not going to be developed in any other way by the current owner.
If we were to make this C2, can we put any sort of rules or regulations on what it can or can't be?
You can't do
Classified,
that,
it's
but
classified.
You can write other ordinances. Fulton has an ordinance where you can't put a parking garage within so many feet of a church. So technically, you could write, hey, you can't put this type of business within so many feet of this sort of object. There's ways to do that. That ordinance is really old, but I just learned about that a while back. But there are ways, but typically, no, if you say it's C2, you just put it there unless you want to specifically constrict somebody.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes,
Yes.
and those opposed, no.
No.
Can we get a roll call on that, please?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Luther?
Yes.
Ms. Nelson? No. Ms. Reclue? No. Ms. Seebacher? No. Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Washington?
Yes.
Mr. Combs?
No.
Mr. Hingy?
No.
5 noes to 3 yeses. So,
So that did not pass. So we will not move that to final passage this evening. Okay. Announcements is next on our agenda. Next city council meeting will be held Tuesday, August 8th, 2023 at 6:30 PM. Hoping to see Mayor Myers back here with us again, so you don't have to listen to me anymore. We do have a need for an executive session this evening to discuss topics A and B on the list given, so we will move into executive session. I will need a motion to do so, please.
Make a motion to move to executive session to discuss legal issues and personnel issues.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, would you like a roll call, or do you just want a regular vote?
we'll have to call roll.
Okay.
Ms. Reclue? Yes. Ms. Seebacher?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Washington? Yes. Mr. Combs? Yes. Mr. Hingy?
Yes.
Mr. Luther?
Yes.
Ms. Nelson? Yes. All in favor?
Okay, so we will move into executive session. Again, thank you all for coming. We're going to go